So guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are staying safe. So guys, tomorrow I will be uploading a Devin Haney and Tiafimo video. I haven't done a video about it and I want to discuss it. I want to talk about it because it's a thing trending. So yeah, I will upload a video about that tomorrow. Some of you have asked my opinion, so tomorrow I will definitely upload. But guys, smash the like button on this video. I really appreciate your support. Smash the like button, as you guys know, subscribe button, share the videos, guys. It really helps the channel. Get as many likes on the video as possible. The more the better. But yeah, let's get into it. Caleb Plant's trainer, I've been watching a lot of interviews. Caleb Plant obviously looks very confident. Caleb Plant's trainer says that Canelo has a lot of weaknesses. Those weaknesses are going to be exploited against Caleb Plant, says Caleb Plant's trainer. Canelo hasn't got a lot of weaknesses at all. I know certain people like to say that he does, and he's got flat feet. He can be outboxed. But it's easier said than done. You know, I think people always go back to the Floyd Mayweather fight and say Floyd Mayweather outboxed him. Even they tried to make out that Lara outboxed him. But Lara didn't. Lara didn't do it convincingly. That was a very close fight. And that Canelo, for me, Canelo might have nicked that. Or you could, maybe Lara nicked it, but it was very close. So, and Lara's a very good boxer. And he couldn't conclusively outbox Canelo. The only guy that's ever outclassed Canelo was Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd Mayweather, for me, is a once-in-a-generational fighter. That guy outboxes everyone. That guy outboxed Manny Pacquiao. So, to judge Canelo of that fight would be stupid, because if you look at every other fight that Canelo's had, he's never been outboxed. To the point where he's been washed against any other fighter. Even Lara, Trout, you look at Cotto, he's fought some really good fighters. Kovalev, Golovkin. I thought he did lose the first. I didn't have him winning that first fight against Golovkin, but I thought we beat him the second time. But he's never been outboxed conclusively. Even the first Golovkin fight was kind of close. Although I thought Golovkin won, it was kind of close. Canelo, apart from Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Mayweather is the only guy that's really dominated Canelo Alvarez. Who else has dominated Canelo? Nobody. So when people, unless you think Caleb Plant's skills are like Floyd Mayweather, right, which they're not, he hasn't got the experience that Floyd had. And a lot of people seem to say, oh, Floyd wasn't in his prime when he fought Canelo. Canelo wasn't in his prime, definitely. Canelo had a lot of experience, but he hardly had fought anybody worthwhile, And people say, oh, well, Floyd wasn't in his prime. Floyd wasn't in... Who was the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world when Floyd fought Canelo Alvarez? Go and check who the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So that argument about Floyd not being in his prime is nonsense, because Floyd was the best fighter in the world at the time. Canelo wasn't the best fighter. He may have not even been in the top 10 pound for pound. Floyd was number 1 at that point. So when people bring up the argument that Floyd wasn't in his prime because he was 36, that's nonsense. Because Floyd was the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. You could be 36, 40. If you're the best fighter in the world, that means you're a great fighter. Now, he may have not been at the best. When people talk about Floyd's prime, they talk about the Floyd at 135. That was a Floyd that was more offensive. But the one that was at 36, he was a defensive genius. He was a better fighter because that Floyd was a harder fighter to beat. So when people bring up the fact that Floyd at 36 wasn't in his prime, it's nonsense, because Floyd was the best fighter in the world at that point. If you go and check the pound for pound rankings, when Floyd fought Canelo, he was the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. So you can't say somebody's the number one fighter in the world and he's not in his prime. That's just nonsense. It doesn't make sense unless you're saying the state of boxing was terrible, that a guy that passed his prime is the best fighter in the world. No. When Floyd fought Berto, I felt like he was on the slide a little bit. Still a conclusive win. The fight before, actually, even when he fought Berto, he was pretty good. But my point is that people making out that Floyd was 36 when he fought Canelo Alvarez, he was past his prime. No, that's nonsense. He was the best fighter in the world at that point. You know, he was ranked number one pound for pound fighter. So you can't be past your prime if you're ranked number one pound for pound fighter. He just wasn't the Floyd at 135. But that don't mean he wasn't in his prime. Are you trying to say a prime Floyd would have knocked Canelo? No. Floyd, he was fighting smaller guys. Canelo was a bigger guy. The reason why Floyd became the way he became and he adjusted and adapted is because he knew he was now fighting bigger men. Hence why he wasn't throwing as many punches. He was being more strategical, more tactical. Because he knew he can't afford to throw more punches. Because if you look at Floyd's fights at 135, he used to throw a lot of punches and he used to get caught with shots as well. Remember, I think it was DeMarcus Corley caught him with a lot of big shots. You know, Zab Judah caught... This is what I'm saying. Floyd realized that he can't fight the way he was fighting against the smaller guys because those guys could hurt him. Hence why he became more defensive. So he would have never fought the way he fought, you know, DeMarcus Corley, like he did with Canelo Alvarez, because he knew if he went out there trading with Canelo Alvarez, he'd get caught and he could get hurt because Canelo's a bigger man. So that's nonsense about Canelo and Floyd not being in his prime. I just find that nonsense. Because you can't, he was the best fighter in the world. So Canelo at the time was fighting the best fighter in the world when he was young and inexperienced. Because Canelo may have had 50 fights. That doesn't mean anything. It's the level of competition you've been fighting at. You know, he had fought guys like Josecito Lopez, Shane Mosley, who was way past his best. You know, there was hardly, you know, Matthew Hatton, you know, Ryan, you know, guys like that who weren't anywhere near Floyd's level. This is what I'm trying to say. You could have a lot of fights. The reason why Canelo had a lot of fights because he was fighting from 15. He was fighting from the age of 15. So Canelo Alvarez, there's no doubt in my mind that he's really improved since then. He's really improved massively since the Floyd fight. He's got a lot better. And I know some people say, oh, he's not got a lot better. You know, he's just been fighting certain type of opponents. No. He has got a lot better. Look at the Billy Joe Saunders fight. Billy Joe Saunders is a very skilled southpaw. You know, that fight, again, I had Canelo winning that fight up until he broke Billy Joe's eye socket. I had him winning that fight. And many others had it the same way. So Canelo has improved massively. And the reason why he's improved massively is because he's worked on his game religiously. Secondly, he's been fighting better quality of opponents. He's been fighting better fighters. Hence why he's improved, got better experience, you know, more challenging fights, tougher fights. He's learned from them. He's improved. He's got better. So there aren't a lot of weaknesses in Canelo's game. So if Caleb Plant thinks that there's a lot of weaknesses in Canelo's game that he's going to exploit and he's looking at the Floyd Mayweather fight, I just think that's I just think that's stupid because that was ages ago. And Canelo since then has improved massively. Even his feet have got better. For me, his hands are more educated. They're faster. His defense has become impeccable. All of these things have improved massively since the Floyd fight. You know, he was just following Floyd Mayweather around the ring. He now knows how to cut off the ring a lot better. And let's be honest, Floyd at times was walking Canelo down in that fight. And Canelo he ran out of ideas. He didn't have the experience. He, against Floyd Mayweather, ran out of ideas. But Floyd was operating at such a high level at that point that Canelo just couldn't match him. But Caleb Plant, that's going to be the opposite now. Caleb Plant's got attributes that could cause Canelo fast feet, fast hands. But how long can he do it for? Canelo's mastered how to fight fighters like that. Now, unless you're able to hurt Canelo, it's very difficult, in my opinion, for you to beat him. I think the only guy that's going to be able to beat Canelo now is a guy that can hurt him. A guy that can push him back like a Beterbiev or someone like that, someone big and strong, physically strong. But if you can't hurt him, which I don't think Caleb Plant can, because Caleb Plant hasn't got the power like that, it's going to be tough for Caleb Plant to beat Canelo. It's going to have to be a sublime boxing performance for him to beat someone like Canelo. You're going to have to completely outbox him, outclass him, which I just don't see anyone doing against Canelo. How are you going to outclass someone that is a great counterpuncher, that's, can walk you down, that can box with you in the center of the ring, that's got huge, great punching power, and he's not just a big puncher that's wild. He's a big puncher that's a very good boxer. How many big punchers do you know that can box as well as Canelo Alvarez? And also, not just that, then he's got a great defense. He's hard to hit. He's not easy to hit as well. How many fighters do you know in the history of the sport that are like that? That are big punchers, that can box, right? And's got a great defense. Normally, big punchers are known for guys that take a lot of shots. They don't have the greatest defense. They're not the greatest boxers. Look at Julian Jackson. Wasn't the greatest boxer, but he could punch. There's very few fighters in the history of the sport that could really, really punch. And I'm not saying Canelo Alvarez I think he's a big puncher. I do actually think he's a big puncher. I think he's become a big puncher in the sense that he's not like a Julian Jackson where he'll just knock you clean out with one punch, but he'll do some serious damage with one punch. Like he'll hurt your arm or he'll break your eyes. Like he's got that kind of power where he could do serious damage. Billy Joe found that out in the last fight. The way he's got explosive. Canelo has got explosive power. He's definitely got explosive power, and I see his opponents when he's fighting them, they start to wilt. Even Golovkin, I don't think Golovkin's so much a one-punch knockout guy, like a Wilder. Golovkin's got the kind of power where it just kind of it breaks you down. And the same with Canelo. I feel like Canelo breaks you down. I just think that it's going to be very difficult for Caleb Plant to beat Canelo. I just think Caleb Plant's going to get broken down. I think Caleb Plant's going to have it very tough to outbox this guy for 12 rounds. I can't see it. But you never know. Like I said, upsets do happen. Upsets can happen. Look, Mikey Garcia lost to Sandor Martin. Who was thinking that? But the thing is, Canelo Alvarez is so focused, so switched on. I just don't see anyone beating him right now. But like I said, time will tell. I'm really looking forward to this fight, by the way, guys. And it's not far away now. It's round the corner. Leave your thoughts, guys. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Smash the like button as always, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.